The legend of the Black Knight satellite tells us that a spaceship of extraterrestrial origin has been orbiting Earth for many, many years. Sounds crazy, right? But over the years, supporters of this theory have gathered a lot of evidence to prove it. So, let's look at it and judge for ourselves. In 1899, the famous scientist Nikola Tesla built a giant tower in his laboratory in Colorado Springs. This tower was supposed to allow him to study atmospheric electricity and wireless energy. Everything went fine until one day, he discovered something unexpected. The tower began to catch a signal that seemed to be artificial. At first, Tesla thought the signal was coming from somewhere in the atmosphere, but it turned out that it was coming from an even greater height, outer space. Tesla decided that this signal was sent by some extraterrestrial life. However, the scientific community ignored his theory. Although they respected Tesla's genius, they still considered him to be a bit of a weirdo. A few years later, Tesla's reports were confirmed. The inventor of wireless radio, Guglielmo Marconi, intercepted similar signals. Then, in 1927, Norwegian radio engineer Jan Hals noticed something unusual. When he sent signals at a certain wavelength, they were sent back to him a few seconds later. At first, he thought it could be an ordinary radio echo, which is not uncommon. Short radio waves often bounce between Earth and the stratosphere, a phenomenon known as propagation. However, this usually happens very quickly, in about 1/17 of a second after the original transmission. The signals Hals received, though, took about 15 seconds to return. They also didn't match the usual radio echoes people were familiar with. Hals wasn't the only one to witness this phenomenon. Many radio enthusiasts discovered and confirmed these signals, but no one could find an explanation. So, what was it? Could Tesla have been right all along? Let's unpack this. First of all, the signals did exist, and they were documented by many people. However, Tesla and Marconi's signals and Hall's echoes are completely different things. In reality, Tesla and Marconi were picking up signals from pulsars. Pulsars are rapidly rotating neutron stars, born when stars larger than our Sun finish their life cycle. After that, they become neutron stars and begin to rotate at incredible speeds. At the same time, pulsars emit radio waves that can reach as far as our planet. Pulsars were only discovered in 1968, so it's no surprise that Tesla and Marconi couldn't explain the data they had received. But what about Jan Hals? What he discovered is now known as LDEs, or long-delayed echoes. This is a more complicated concept because, to be honest, these echoes still remain a mystery. Scientists suggest that LDEs may be caused by something in Earth's atmosphere, or they might be reflected from the Sun's plasma clouds or even the Moon. Unfortunately, we don't know the truth yet. The next incident took place in 1960 when the New York Times published an article stating that an unidentified silent satellite had been discovered orbiting Earth in a near-polar orbit by United States tracking stations. The identity and origin of the mysterious satellite, which had been dubbed the Dark Satellite, were unknown despite nearly 2 weeks of tracking. Many people believed that this must be the famous Black Knight satellite. However, later, scientists confirmed that it was actually the remnant of a regular satellite that had malfunctioned and gone astray, with its thrusters sending it in the wrong direction. Nonetheless, this old story sparked renewed interest in the Black Knight satellite. Astronomers worldwide began claiming they had observed it, and almost any strange celestial object could be labeled as the famous dark spaceship. However, up to this point, all the photos and data about the Black Knight satellite had come from observatories on Earth. To prove or disprove its existence, people needed some witnesses in orbit. Gordon Cooper, a pilot and one of the first astronauts in human history, participated in the longest American space mission at the time, Mercury Atlas 9, in 1963. During the flight, he discovered a strange green object, possibly of extraterrestrial origin, in front of his module. He reported this to his crew on Earth, and NBC News picked up the story, trying to interview Cooper about it. However, strangely, neither NASA's mission transcripts nor Cooper himself gave much importance to this fact, as if it didn't happen at all. Later, NASA's official explanation was that an electronic malfunction on Cooper's craft led to increased levels of carbon dioxide, which in turn caused Cooper to hallucinate. Cooper agreed with this version. Perhaps it's just a curious coincidence that when he retired, he became interested in searching for extraterrestrial life. But even if we assume that all this is true, and there is some mysterious spaceship in orbit, what would they want from us? Why would they be watching us? In 1973, Duncan Lunan, a Scottish researcher, decided to investigate. He gathered all the data on LDEs collected by Norwegian scientists and began to study it. Suddenly, he noticed some deviations that could hide a code. He arranged the data into a graph, where one axis represented the delay in time between the echoes, and the other represented the position of the echo in the sequence. It turned out to be a collection of dots that resembled some sort of space map, namely the map of the constellation Boötes. Lunan analyzed the echo recorded by French astronomers in 1929 and found the same constellation, although one of the stars was in a slightly different position. Lunan then theorized that this might be a star map from the past. After rewinding the time, Lunan got the whole picture. This was how the constellation looked 13,000 years ago, which possibly meant they had been watching us for thousands of years. In 1973, Lunan gave an interview to the British magazine *Spaceflight*, claiming he had deciphered the radio message hidden in the LDEs. Here's what it said: "Start here. Our home is Epsilon Boötes, which is a double star. We live on the sixth planet of 7, coming from the larger of the two suns. Our sixth planet has 1 moon, our fourth planet has 3. Our first and third planets each have 1. Our probe is in the position of Arcturus, known in our maps as ours." Goosebumps. Even though these reports were published in the New York Times *Time*, and other well-known magazines, no one really took the topic seriously. Unfortunately, Lunan's theory wasn't backed up by any concrete evidence. He later withdrew it, saying he had made obvious mistakes and that his methods were unscientific. According to him, he had just been guessing about what the signal might mean. Finally, let's discuss the last part of our story, the famous photo. On December 4, 1998, the Endeavour spacecraft embarked on the STS-88 mission, the first mission to the International Space Station. Then, on December 11, NASA took and published a series of images where an unusual object could clearly be seen in orbit. These photos were immediately picked up by the public. Everyone thought it was the Black Knight satellite, which had been speculated about for years. Had it finally been found after a century of speculation? As usual, the truth turned out to be much more mundane. During the mission, one of the astronauts was installing a thermal cover, but the covering was poorly fixed. It broke off and flew away. The photos were taken just to document this event. The Black Knight is a very interesting legend. You can dig into it for hours, looking for new information and evidence, and then watch it get debunked. This story is a pile-up of many completely unrelated events, reports, photos of real satellites, and so on, all mixed into one incoherent and illogical urban legend. Illogical, but very fascinating. Finally, let's turn to a more recent development. A wall of fire spreads around the epicenter of impact. It burns everything in its path. The waves raised by the explosion cover large cities, and earthquakes are so strong that giant skyscrapers fall like a house of cards. These are the possible consequences of a collision with the first interstellar object in history to visit our solar system. We discovered it in 2017, but we're still unsure what it is: an asteroid, a comet, or a spaceship of some outer space civilization. So far, scientists have named it Oumuamua. It sounds like a Hawaiian name, but whatever it is, its speed is much faster than other asteroids, about 54 kilometers per second. At that speed, you could cross the US from coast to coast in less than 3 minutes. This asteroid could travel from Earth to the Sun in about 2 months. By comparison, our rockets can travel up to 177,000 miles per hour, and the same trip across the United States would take them about 9 minutes. So, many scientists speculate. The theory of the Black Knight satellite claims that a spaceship of extraterrestrial origin has been orbiting Earth for many years. Though this might sound far-fetched, supporters have gathered evidence to back it up. Let's explore this story and judge for ourselves. In 1899, renowned scientist Nikola Tesla built a massive tower in his Colorado Springs laboratory. This tower was designed to study atmospheric electricity and wireless energy. One day, Tesla detected an unexpected signal that appeared artificial. Initially, he thought it originated within Earth's atmosphere, but later discovered it was coming from space. Tesla believed the signal was sent by extraterrestrial life, but the scientific community ignored his claims. Despite respecting his genius, they considered Tesla's ideas eccentric. A few years later, however, Tesla's observations were confirmed by another inventor, Guglielmo Marconi, who also intercepted similar signals. In 1927, Norwegian radio engineer Jan Hals noticed something unusual when sending signals at a particular wavelength. The signals returned to him with a delay of several seconds. At first, he thought it was a regular radio echo, but the delay was much longer than usual. Radio echoes typically bounce back almost instantaneously, but Hals' signals took 15 seconds to return. Many other radio enthusiasts observed this phenomenon, but no one could explain it. Could Tesla have been right all along? The signals were real, but Tesla and Marconi's signals differed from the ones Hals observed. In fact, Tesla and Marconi had likely detected signals from pulsars, rapidly rotating neutron stars, which weren't discovered until 1968. What Hals discovered is now known as long-delayed echoes, LDEs, a still mysterious phenomenon. Scientists suggest these echoes might be caused by Earth's atmosphere or reflections from plasma clouds around the Sun or Moon, but the truth remains unknown. In 1960, the New York Times reported that a silent, unidentified satellite had been discovered in near-polar orbit around Earth. This mysterious object, dubbed the dark satellite, was thought by many to be the Black Knight satellite. However, later, scientists explained that it was actually debris from a regular satellite that had malfunctioned. This didn't stop renewed interest in the Black Knight theory, and astronomers worldwide claimed to observe strange objects that could be the famous spacecraft. But despite all the interest, up until that point, all data about the Black Knight satellite came from Earth-based observatories. What was needed were witnesses from space. In 1963, astronaut Gordon Cooper, one of the first humans in space, reported seeing a strange green object during his mission. While NBC News picked up the story, NASA downplayed it, stating that Cooper had experienced hallucinations due to an electronic malfunction. Cooper accepted this explanation, but after retiring, he became interested in extraterrestrial life. The mystery surrounding his sighting only added to the intrigue. But why would an alien spaceship be watching us? Scottish researcher Duncan Loonan tried to answer that question in 1973 by analyzing LDE data. He thought he had decoded a message hidden in the echoes, which described a map of a constellation as it looked 13,000 years ago. Loonan suggested the message came from aliens observing Earth for thousands of years. He later withdrew his claims, admitting that his analysis had been flawed. The next significant event came in 1998 when NASA's Endeavour spacecraft, on mission STS-38, captured a series of images showing an unusual object in space. Many believed this to be the Black Knight satellite, finally caught on camera. However, NASA later explained that the object was nothing more than a thermal blanket that had accidentally detached from the spacecraft. Despite this explanation, the legend of the Black Knight persists, with its origins rooted in a mix of unrelated stories, sightings, and photos. It's a fascinating tale, though one grounded more in urban legend than in reality. Beyond the Black Knight satellite, there are other mysterious objects in space, such as Oumuamua, discovered in 2017. This interstellar object, the first of its kind observed passing through our solar system, has sparked debates about its origins. Some scientists believe it could be a spaceship from an advanced civilization. Its shape, a long, narrow structure about half a mile long, resembles a spaceship more than a typical asteroid. Radio telescopes were aimed at Oumuamua to detect any potential signals, but no radio waves were found, leaving its origins a mystery. Scientists tried to estimate the weight of Oumuamua using the light it reflected, as different materials reflect light in different ways. Based on its reflections, they concluded that it was likely made of iron or solid rock. Interestingly, the object was spinning chaotically, not on a stable axis like most celestial objects. Despite this, it remained intact, suggesting it's made of extremely durable material, unlike any spacecraft we know of. Moreover, unlike comets, which accelerate due to the rocket-like effect of gases evaporating from their surfaces, Oumuamua has no such tail or gas emissions.